Let's dive right into this explainer because today we're tackling something huge. We're going to look at how your absolute most precious resource is being systematically strip-mined by the digital world. We'll be exploring this crazy intersection of modern tech and ancient philosophy to figure out exactly what is happening to our minds every single day. Because right now, we're living in an era where our very ability to concentrate has literally been turned into a product. So let's unpack all this and figure out how we can actually fight back. But first, I want to break the fourth wall here for just a second and ask you a very direct, maybe slightly uncomfortable question. Where is your attention right at this exact moment? Like, did you consciously, deliberately choose to click on this explainer? Or did a hyper-sophisticated algorithm successfully hijack your gaze with a flashy thumbnail and title? It kind of makes you think, doesn't it? But it's an essential question to ask because in today's digital landscape, every single scroll, every like, and every ping on your phone is a deliberate, engineered attempt to harvest your focus. Section 1, the cyber problem and the unrecoverable resource. Okay, we need a total mindset shift regarding what actually happens when we stare at our screens. We aren't just casually consuming content. We are blindly trading away literal currency. And guess what? The platforms you're using are perfectly designed to win that trade every single time. This right here is the absolute core of the attention economy. It's a system where your concentration is the product being sold. Every time you scroll, you're making a transaction. You're handing over a fragment of your precious attention in exchange for, well, mostly empty stimuli. And honestly, the terrifying part of all this, unlike money, which you can always earn back, or physical energy, which you can just restore by getting a good night's sleep, attention is the one and only resource that can never, ever be recovered once you spend it. The time you lose to endless scrolling and meaningless notifications, it's just gone forever. At the end of the day, you aren't richer, you haven't learned anything profound, you haven't genuinely connected with anyone, you've just been squeezed dry like a raw material. I really want you to sit with this heavy quote from the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius for a second. Accept what happens as if you had chosen it. Man, that stings with clarity, doesn't it? But it poses a deeply chilling question for us today. What happens when we don't actually choose? What happens when our attention just quietly slips away without us even noticing? When it's not us deciding how to spend our time, but an algorithm that has flawlessly learned exactly how to hijack our brains? Moving on to section 2, the diagnosis, covering hyperattention and avoid. Let's really look at the existential philosophical cost of this constant digital theft. Because make no mistake, this isn't just a basic productivity hack. This is about the very fabric of how we experience being alive. There's this philosopher, Byung-Chul Han, who diagnoses our modern conditions so brilliantly. He argues that in our modern, fast-paced society, our attention has become entirely fragmented. We suffer from what he calls hyperattention. Basically, we are everywhere and nowhere all at once. Our focus scatters in 1,000 different directions, meaning we ultimately reside in none of them. Han actually frames this hyperattention as a form of emptiness, like a liquid existence that just slides over everything without ever settling down. But here's the thing, deep connection requires time. It requires friction. It requires stillness. And those are the exact things your social media feed completely strips away. Tragically, it becomes a form of non-life that actively blocks us from deepening our experiences or truly connecting with the people around us. Now, you might think this is a totally new issue, but this problem was actually recognized thousands of years ago. The Stoic philosopher Seneca hit the nail on the head when he wrote, "It is not that we have little time, but that we waste much of it." He inherently understood that attention is the absolute foundation of a good life. If you're wasting most of your time on digital distractions that you never consciously chose to look at, you are wasting your attention. And straight up, wasted attention equals a wasted life. To put that into perspective, your life is not measured in years. It is measured strictly in the moments where you are actually truly present. You could live to be 80 years old, sure, but if you've only been mentally present for 10 of those years, you've really only lived for 10 years. The other 70, that was just a screen-induced blur. You were physically in the room, but mentally, you were entirely somewhere else, just scrolling away. So let's get into section 3, the Hellenic solution and the dichotomy of control. We're going to completely shift the narrative right now, from being digital victims to taking back total empowerment, and we're going to use the teachings of the Stoic philosopher Epictetus to do it. What's genuinely fascinating about this is how perfectly the ancient Stoic dichotomy of control maps onto our modern digital struggle. It's like it was made for it. Epictetus taught that there are things that depend on us and things that simply do not. The algorithms, the incoming push notifications, the sneaky psychological design of social media, those do not depend on us. We can't control them at all. But our attention, our concentration, our ability to stay present, those absolutely depend on us. A true Stoic knows that their attention is the only thing in the world that truly belongs to them, which is exactly why they fiercely protect it. And they protect it because attention is the gateway to literally everything else. Without it, you can't learn and you can't connect. Life isn't just what randomly happens to you. Life is what you pay attention to. Think about it. If you constantly pay attention to noise, your life will just be noise. If you pay attention to what matters, your life will actually matter. If you focus on fear, your life becomes fear. If you focus on hope, your life is hope. You really need to understand this. This isn't some poetic metaphor. It is beautifully, terrifyingly literal. Your attention literally constructs your everyday reality. Marcus Aurelius summed this up with a clarity that still hits so hard today. He said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." And we know from our sources that the quality of your thoughts depends entirely on the quality of your attention. If your attention is constantly being fragmented by skimming through screens, your thoughts are absolutely guaranteed to be scattered and fragmented too. There is no way around it. You simply cannot formulate deep, meaningful thoughts if your mind is perpetually skimming the shallow surface of an endless feed. Which brings us to our final part, section 4, the synthesis, where we look at presence as an act of resistance. We have to start viewing the act of reclaiming our focus not just as some trendy wellness buzzword, but as a radical, absolutely vital daily practice. Seneca gives us another harsh truth here. It is not that life is short, but that we make it short. And how exactly do we make it short? By living it completely distracted. When you're physically sitting across from a friend or a loved one, but your mind is a million miles away, entirely absorbed by that little rectangle in your hand, you are turning your existence into a ghost of a life. We make our lives artificially short by letting them pass us by while we aren't actually there to experience them. So the crucial point we need to take away is this. Mindfulness is fundamentally a Stoic practice. We tend to think of mindfulness as this very modern, new age trend, but it's really an incredibly ancient discipline. It's the raw ability to be present without getting swept away by all the noise. And let me tell you, it requires immense discipline to just sit with the discomfort of silence, to embrace the sheer difficulty of real concentration, and to say a hard, definitive no to distraction so that you can finally say yes to genuine connection. Epictetus left us with an amazingly powerful tool, a single question that should be your ultimate shield every single time your phone buzzes. Does this depend on me? The notification itself doesn't depend on you. The algorithm pushing that shiny new content, out of your control. But your response, your choice to look down at the screen or to look up and engage with the real world, that depends entirely on you. The Stoic doesn't feel powerless against the machine. They just calmly choose where their attention goes, over and over, without getting tired. And this is a practice. It builds up day by day, choice by choice, until you regain total control of your mind. Attention isn't just a magical gift you're born with. It is a muscle, and you have to train it. Every single time you make the active, conscious decision not to check your phone, every time you choose to truly, deeply listen to the person sitting right next to you, every time you lock in and focus entirely on the one task at hand, that is you hitting the gym. That is you training your attention. And let me be incredibly, absolutely clear about this. Attention is an act of resistance. In a digital ecosystem that was perfectly engineered by some of the smartest people on the planet just to steal your focus, holding onto it is literally a revolutionary act. It is staring right into the algorithm and saying, you do not decide what I see today. It's telling the notification, you don't get to decide when to interrupt my life. Yes, the system is totally rigged for you to lose, but you have to fight back by consciously choosing what actually matters. Accepting this reality isn't being passive, it's the absolute highest form of conscious action. I want to wrap up by leaving you with one final, deeply profound thought derived from our sources today. The question isn't whether or not you have attention. The question is where you are actively placing it. Because your attention is your life. Do not let the noise make the decision for you. Do not let a screen steal your present moment. Reclaim your attention, reclaim your presence, and reclaim your life. Because life is exactly what you choose to look at. So right after this explainer ends, what will you choose?